This is a tutorial for the most versatile bag you'll ever have. This bag is designed for beginners to experienced sewers, and you can print this pattern easily from your home printer. This bag pattern is super beginner friendly and it's 100% customizable, and it's really easy to make. The bag that we're going to be making today has 2 front pockets, and I'll be showing you how to make that as well. So after downloading the PDF pattern, you want to click print and select portrait. Click on more settings, choose A4 size for your paper size, and for the scale, click actual size and choose 100%. This is really important. After you've done that, you can just click print. You don't need much for this project. All you need is some fabric, the scissors, tape, and your pattern. So before we cut out the pattern, make sure to measure the squares, and it should be 2.5 by 2.5 centimeters and 1 by 1 inch. So first things first, lay out the pattern pieces in the correct order. Every page is numbered and it should be laid out in a grid formation like this. This is how the pattern should look like when it's all in the correct order. Then all you have to do is attach the pages together. I do this by folding the edge of the paper, making sure the outlines are lined up. Then I just tape them together, but you can do this however you want. So this is how the pattern should look like once it's all aligned and attached. And now you can start cutting your pattern. I included a 1 centimeter seam allowance, so all you have to do is just cut along the thin lines. Once your pattern is cut out, it should look something like this. Now fold your fabric in half and place the pattern on top with the center part that says cut on fold in line with the folded edge of the fabric. So making sure you have 2 pieces of fabric and you place that cut on fold part on the folded edge of that fabric. Then now you can use your fabric scissors and cut the fabric around the pattern piece. Because I already included the seam allowance, you can just cut directly around the pattern piece. No need to worry about seam allowance. So you should end up with something like this. Now you can do the exact same thing with the lining fabric, and you should end up with 2 outer pieces and 2 lining pieces. So 4 pieces in total. Now I'm gonna be making the pockets, so if you don't want to make the pockets, you can skip this part. But for the pockets, you can cut whatever size you want. I did 24 by 19 centimeters. You should also have an outer fabric and a lining fabric for this. Now to make your pockets, I'm gonna first place the right sides together and sew along one side of the fabric to make one long fabric. And repeat this step with the lining fabric. Now place the right sides together and you can sew along the edge of the fabric, leaving about a 1 centimeter seam allowance, and make sure to leave a gap at the very end. So you should end up with something like this. Remember to leave a 3 inches gap. Cut the corners of the fabric and flip it inside out. Remember to push the corners out. So I'm just gonna pin them in place. You can clip them in place as well. So now you want to sew as close as you can to the edge of the fabric. This is also a really good time to use your iron to press it down so it's easier for you to sew. So now you have the fabric for your pockets, and now we're going to attach that pocket onto the bag. So because I attached two pieces of fabric together, I have that midline. I'm going to attach that midline of the pockets to the midline of my bag. After that, I'll just pin the sides in place. So you want to sew around the pockets, so the sides and the bottom of the pockets as well as the midline to make two pockets. I'm gonna start by sewing the midline so it doesn't shift around when I sew the sides. So this is what it should look like once I sew the midline, and now I'm gonna start sewing the sides and the bottom of the fabric. You want to sew over that top stitch that you just did. Pockets are nice and attached. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And now we can start making the bag. You want to start with your outer fabric, have the right sides together and making sure that it's in line. And all you have to do is sew the sides and the bottom together. It's really important for you to pin them in place so it doesn't move when you start sewing, especially if you're working with leather fabric like I am. Repeat with your lining fabric, but leave a 5-inch gap at the bottom. It should look something like this once you're done. So now we're going to be working on the corners of the bag. You want to take any corner and kind of open up and pinch them together, making sure that the right sides are facing together. Clip them in place or pin them in place. Repeat on the other side of the bag as well as lining fabric. So now all you have to do is just sew along the line with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. You should end up with something like this. Now flip the outer fabric inside out so the right side of the fabric is facing out. Then place the outer fabric inside the lining fabric, making sure that the right sides are facing each other. Make sure that the corners of the bag are nice and aligned, and the straps should be aligned as well. Now pin the straps in place once it's nice and aligned, and this is when you can be really creative if you want. You can add a zipper here or even leave the straps as it is without sewing them together, so you can kind of have an adjustable strap. But what I'm going to show you today is going to be a really simple basic bag. We're going to pin all around the straps of the bag, and I like to start from the straps, working my way into the middle of the bag. This is just to make sure that both of my fabrics are nice and centered. So you want to work from the sides of the straps, slowly working your way to the middle of the bag. And once you've done pinning both sides, you should end up with something like this, and you can sew along the sides of the strap, leaving a gap at both ends of the strap. This is how your straps should look like. Remember to leave about 3 to 4 inches at both ends of the strap. Now lay your bag nice and flat, and you can start cutting little slips around the curves of the bag, making sure that you cut really close to your seam. It should look something like this. Remember the little slip on the lining fabric? Turn your bag inside out. Once you've done that, now you want to close that slip. End up with something like this. almost there, guys. Just a couple more steps. Now this is really important. You can and you should take an iron and press around the sides of the bag. This is just so you can top stitch it really nice and clean. After you've done that, we're gonna start attaching the straps. First, you have the lining fabric, right sides facing together, and you want to sew them together, leaving a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Once you've done that, you're going to repeat the exact same thing with the outer fabric. This is going to be a little bit tricky because the right sides of your outer fabric is facing out, so you kind of have to turn it around so the right side is facing together. Pin them in place and sew a straight line across with a centimeter seam allowance. And once you've done that, you kind of just place the wrong sides facing together and pin them together, making sure that it's nice and aligned. Use as many pins as you like, and this is also a really good time to use your iron and iron it flat so it's nice and clean. And once you've done that, you are on your very last step. All you have to do now is just top stitch around the straps, making sure that you sew as close as you can to the edge. That's it, all done. You can leave your bag as it is, it's already so beautiful. But I actually like my straps a little bit thinner around the top. So what I'm doing is I'm just folding my strap in the center, folding it together with the lining side facing each other, and I'm pinning it in place. I'm just gonna sew halfway, so I'm making sure that both sides are nice and even. I'm gonna be sewing a straight line across, so then the straps at the top is a little bit thinner. That's it, you are done. You can customize this bag however you like. This is a really simple and basic shoulder bag pattern. I've added 2 front pockets and I've showed you how to do that already. You can even make the strap longer to turn it into a cross-body bag. I use this bag genuinely every single day and I think it fits with everything. If you want a pattern, check out my Instagram or TikTok and make sure to tag me if you decide to give this pattern a go. Love you, bye!